was over 10,000. Whoops.
Yes. So sorry about that. I didn't know it was going to make that sound. Hey, for those of you watching us in YouTube land, so great to have you guys with us. We were just talking about some of the fun and exciting and innovative things that are going on in Omniverse City. And, there's a lot of industries we've met along the way, fashion, gaming, whatever. This whole idea of consolidation and disruption is not new. It's happened in other industries, but I didn't mean to throw you off, Vanessa. So 10 years ago, you were seeing some of this kind of consolidation happening. I'd love to let you finish. Didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Oh, yes. I mean, that was how the growth in the optical industry, continued to roll. And it still continues to this day. So being on the other, side, I always felt bad because we would show up at all of the big shows and the independents, they were trying to stay relevant and we were continuing to take over market share. So it was, the train had started very fast down the track and hasn't stopped.
So I'm going to actually start recording locally. Oh, it won't let me start recording locally. Okay, so you can choose one or the other. Okay, great. So we'll finish the live stream, then I'll stop when everyone gets here. So 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, OptiSource was one of the first acquisitions of Essilor. I was there. And, I got to work with all of the independent labs during those acquisitions, much like you, Vanessa. So I got to really see from the inside some of the really great things, because some of these labs, they were like up against the ropes, like they needed a bailout. And some of the bad things, there were some labs that were perfectly okay. They just felt FOMO because all their friends were getting bought and they didn't want to get, left out. And, we saw the before, during, and after. Some of these labs were my customers for, 15 years before their acquisition happened. So I kind of knew them long before they got acquired. Most of them, I knew them a very short period of their post acquisition, because most of them were gone within 1 to 2 years. It was very common after these businesses got acquired, within 1 to 2 years, they were gone. And when I resigned, I decided I wanted to just, it wasn't like a negative thing. It wasn't like, hey, I don't agree with this, although I didn't. It was more, hey, no one seems to be picking up the tools on the other side of the garden, and it's looking a little, in need of tending. And I put down my corporate toolbox, and I decided to go totally grassroots. I did not know how long that journey was going to be. I did not know that in that, 7 years, we'd face a pandemic and, digital disruption and post COVID confusion and AI and metaverse and, all of these different things that have happened. These last 7 years have been jam packed with an accelerant of evolution and technology. And, you guys have seen it maybe from the same perspective that I have, or maybe a different perspective. But we are definitely here to give the tools to our industry to succeed. And when I meet someone like you, Peter, and someone like you, Vanessa, I'm just totally excited because you guys know the problem we're trying to solve. And you know how big it is, and you know how many people it impacts. But I know that, oh, welcome, Dr. Culpepper. How are you? I'll let her get unmuted. But there's people
Hey
that
there, just listening in between patients. I'm just waiting on the next person to come. How you guys doing?
we're doing wonderful. We have some newcomers with us today, Dr. Culpepper, people that are very influential in the optical industry. Dr. Culpepper, guys, is what we call a muse. She's exactly why we do what we do. Brilliant optometrist, successful practice. Very hard to build your own practice. So Dr. Culpepper's taken a different road. She's become an innovator and she's invented several products. Vanessa and Peter, I don't know if you guys are very familiar with the whole dry eye space. Are you guys familiar with like some of the innovation that's happened in the dry eye sector?
Yes.
Tell me about that, Vanessa.
My sister actually has been battling it since she got LASIK several decades ago. So she has been in, every trial, trying eye drops, new procedures, trying to find relief. And it's amazing what they are, trying out on her. I haven't seen anything work yet, but she is optimistic. But it's been a long journey. There's a huge need here.
Well, you're going to have to definitely meet Dr. Pam Terrio as well as Dr. Culpepper. Dr. Pam Terrio has invested her entire career in being a champion for dry eyes. She flies around the country speaking with all of she's like a KOL for every major company that's out there. She's a big proponent of clean beauty and lifestyle changes, and she's going to be launching a series here. So that would be really fun for you, just for your family. But it's also one of the things that, when we work together, if you guys decide you want to be a part of this fun journey, we're going to need a lot of help getting optometrists to come in and opticians to come in, and what Dr. Terrio calls ocular hygienists to come in and experience a different type of education. Let's call it connective education. It's a new CE, right? Because the existing education in our industry is magnificent. I've built my own CEs with people. I've hosted my own festivals physically, and I've hosted virtual conferences. I give it hats off to anyone who produces educational programming for our industry, because it's not easy. But there's a lot of gaps there. There's a lot of consumer education that needs to happen. There's a lot of content creation that needs to happen. And there's a lot of evolution of the educational, let's call it mechanisms, meaning, how much more impactful do you think education would be if it was hands-on, if it was immersive, if you could see what you're doing, if you could experience, if you could have, a twin of your sister, Vanessa, talking about the challenges that she's had from a patient's perspective. So now doctors, and it could be an AI, it could be an avatar of her. So maybe she's a little uncomfortable being interviewed one-on-one, but she has no problem designing a digital character that can speak on her behalf. So doctors can actually ask her, even if she's not there, how she's feeling about some of the challenges she's facing.
Yeah, no, she would love that. She's actually kind of an influencer for her area where she lives. She lives in Chestnut Hill in Philadelphia, and she does all of the promoting of the area and lobbies, for a lot of change and things, and is connected with a lot of really important people, I would say. And, she would totally be open to something like that.
So you've just exploded a rabbit hole garden. So let me just pick one so we don't get lost, because we definitely need to have a call around this. But Peter, who hopefully will join us soon, another Peter, not you, Peter, another Peter. We'll have to come up with names for the Peters. But Peter Precht is really a champion. I would even say a guardian of health and wellness in the workplace. He's got a very strong background in safety. He was very influential in the B2B safety departments in Wallman. And now he works with factories and companies across the country, even across the world, educating them on. Actually, let's go talk to Peter. I'll open up the Omniverse City so we could go talk to him. But there is a lot of opportunities for education as more and more businesses understand the impact of ergonomics on efficiency. Obviously, these founders and these owners and these managers, they're very compassionate. They have a lot of empathy for the people who work there, but they also identify that if you're not comfortable or you just simply can't see, you can't do your job, right? So Peter's able to go into these businesses, speak to these owners, understand their concerns, and then speak directly with their teams of hundreds and thousands of people, and get their individual concerns, and then report back to the owners of these companies that are investing in these safety programs. Now, I'm staying away from explaining what safety programs for those that are listening in that maybe aren't familiar with the optical industry or the need for safety or ergonomics or any of that. So in a moment, I'm going to take you into the Omniverse City where you can see Peter. So if you have some questions, you can go right now, talk to Peter inside of the Omniverse City and get your questions answered. But when I hear you, Vanessa, talk about Philadelphia and talk about your sister who is very passionate about dry eye and its impact on her life. And what does she do for a living?
She does all community outreach. So she's like the president of the association for her community. So she's working with lobbyists and other local, affluent people to develop the area, get grants. Just she's a total creative kind of communication space.
Wow, that's crazy. Ryan, did you know that?
No, I did not know that specifically. I did not.
That's
We
incredible.
have not spoken about her sister. Vanessa and I have not spoken about her sister.
So, Vanessa,
Yep.
the first place that we could start, Dr. LeGrand, thank you for joining us, by the way. We have amazing, amazing, when I always tell you about the industry, Dr. LeGrand, and about like, why I did what I did, why I'm going to cry. Don't cry, Charlene. Why I did what I did and how I'm going to save the industry. And, one day the industry is going to look back and this is the moment where we had the great pivot where we took it back, right? You know how I always talk about that.
Uh-huh.
So Vanessa and Peter have been in the industry for a very, 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 very long time.
Okay, that makes everybody seem old, Charlene. Come
No,
on.
I think it's important to articulate without bringing age into it. The fact that you've seen all of the phases the industry has gone through, this kind of eclipse that it's gone through over the last, 15 years, really. I mean, someone like you, Ryan, you were born into the industry, so you've seen a lot of evolutions,
Right.
but the industry didn't really evolve very much externally up until recently. It evolved internally. We had like polycarbonate lenses and CR39 and high index and air coatings. And these were all things that happened in this beautiful bubble that we all lived in that the consumer experienced by receiving the products that we gave them. But there wasn't a lot of, from what I saw, from my perspective over the years, outreach to the general community so that they understood these things. Even Dr. LeGrand has mentioned that this is the first real time that she's been able to work directly with optometrists, and she's understanding now all of these new possibilities and capabilities as a provider, as a medical provider, as a champion for change in the medical system, to
Yeah.
work with the optometric system. Vanessa and Peter, you guys have been around long enough to know that this is something the industry has been dying for, to get connected to the medical industry, at least from what I've seen. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. And even in the blue light space, there is huge opportunity to be connected.
Awesome. And now Peter's more on the manufacturing side. And, Peter, from your perspective, I mean, if you were a part of Digital iLab from the very beginning, you had a lot of access to so many different people with challenges, large groups, organizations, buying groups, chains, doctors groups, all these new dry eye centers springing up. I'm sure a lot of them ended up on your doorstep, especially because you had the contact lenses in ABB as well. So people, from what I've seen, and again, I'd love for you to correct me if any of this is wrong. I'm just kind of like getting the
No,
conversation started here. Go ahead, Peter, take it and run with it.
oh no, you're absolutely right. I mean, and a big thing which I think even goes back 40 years is really kind of seeing the rise of the vision benefits companies and the way that they've led and dictated so much of the policies that private practices were allowed to have, and it's now gotten to the point where, as an independent optician potentially who can't take some of these insurances, they're really struggling, and then as a doctor you're just um, at the whim of these companies that are obviously have their agenda to maximize their profitabilities, and um, are controlling how much you're able to make on each patient and what products you're able to sell. So I think that's a major factor and challenge for the industry. That's only seems to be getting worse.
So Thank you for that, Peter. And I really can't wait to, when you've been around as long as we all have, we add up all the years, we're not going to say what that number is, but we're people who, from what I've learned from you guys, and let's face it, you wouldn't be in this industry still if you didn't love it. Okay, you just wouldn't. Why on earth would you put yourself through this if you weren't just head over heels in love with the industry that you've decided to plant your flag in? I am still in the metaverse. I am still in fashion. I'm speaking about doing immersive festivals around the world in the metaverse and in Fortnite and Africa and all these wonderful things. But my heart is still with the optical industry. My love, my first love is still what we do, because I spent so many years watching, the people on the front lines and really dedicate their lives to their patients. And I just have a loyalty to them. And it's one of the reasons we're here today. So there's Peter. And again, he's not here right now, but that's okay. Doesn't mean we can't talk to him. Let me turn the sound up.
And I'm thrilled to welcome you to I See Clearly, the hub for top-notch vision protection and
Hi, Peter. I have a friend in Philadelphia who is a lobbyist and also suffers from dry eye. How can we work with you to get the message out about what you're doing in Philadelphia and the surrounding areas? And how can we help you?
Hi there. It sounds like a great opportunity to spread the word about eye health and protection. In Philadelphia and beyond, we can collaborate by organizing awareness campaigns or workshops focused on eye safety and ergonomic solutions. Your friend, with their connections as a lobbyist, could help us reach key stakeholders and communities. We could also explore partnerships with local businesses to provide educational materials and showcase our innovative eyewear solutions. Let's keep an eye on what matters and make a difference together.
So when you guys think about the power of having a tool like that to demonstrate something, I mean, that wasn't words from my mouth. Dr. Terrio, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yay! Oh my gosh, we were just talking about you. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you came today. Dr. Terrio, we have two amazing newcomers with us. Sorry guys, that was loud and screechy. Vanessa and Peter. And Vanessa and Peter are learning they're from our industry. They've got a lot of contacts in the industry. So I think they're kind of like checking us out to see, what this is all about and how they could potentially help us spread the word. Before I kind of tell you why I just screeched like a crazy lady, can you tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what you've been doing in your professional career, and even why you decided to be an optometrist in the metaverse?
That's broad. I'm Dr. Pam Terrio. I'm an optometrist and a dry eye specialist, and I joined the metaverse so that I could spread the word about how daily habits can support our vision to have clearer vision and more comfortable eyes by just putting some practices into place, whether it's a daily routine of taking care of our eyes with tears, warm compresses, lid scrubs, or setting up your workstation for success to make sure to alleviate any signs of digital eye strain. So I found that the Omniverse is really a perfect platform for this message, because all of us are more in the digital realm, but people who are working in metaverses and go to work in the metaverse every day really spend a ton of time on their screens and need some support from expert eye professionals like us to help them do their job more effectively.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for clarifying that. And Dr. Terrio, Vanessa was talking about her sister who's going through all sorts of experimental things to solve her dry eye. She's really suffering. And she also happens to be a lobbyist, someone who has a lot of access to people with platforms, I guess we could say. And we were just talking to Peter in the metaverse about, Peter, by the way, is in Pennsylvania, and he's very active with the Pennsylvania Opticians Association and has had a lot of conversations with the optometry networks out there. So just from that alone, Vanessa, we could build a network around your sister. But Dr. Terrio, how cool would it be to get Vanessa onboarded? She's considering coming in to work with us in hopefully a variety of ways, but mostly, Vanessa, my dream, knowing, all of the people that would be to just let you be selfish first and really discover these tools as a professional who's been in the industry, and think about, like, if I wanted to communicate a message, if I wanted to deliver a tool, what tools would I want to use? Would I want to be a digizen? Would I want to be able to take people into these worlds and have them travel with me? Would I want to host events here? Vanessa, before I pivot back to Dr. Terrio, can you see some of those? Well, how could you see these opportunities, making things easier to communicate difficult topics like what we're talking about today?
Yeah, I'm totally open to all of it. I'm interested to see what this tool, the capabilities are and where it can all go. But right now, in broad strokes, it's wide open, so I can see lots of places to contribute. But definitely, connecting the health message is key. And there's some areas where there's a lot of opportunity. Where there's a lot of false marketing and things out there. So it would be good to get the medical voice out.
I love it. Oh, Peter, right in time. We were just talking about you. Were your ears ringing? So I'm going to actually stop the live stream.